Chapter 2, Naomi E. Why did your mom leave the no-head ladies here? My best friend Annie and I are packing up what was once Mom's sewing room, and what Dad promises will soon be our library/TV/music/relax, and also we'll be allowed to eat in their room. You can't take no-head ladies on a plane, I explain. There are rules about what you can take on planes. Mom, by the way, doesn't call them no-head ladies. To her, they are the mannequins, or dress forms. Also, they aren't only missing heads. They have no arms or legs either. She uses them when she designs costumes, which is her job. I know about planes, Annie says. I went to North Carolina last summer, and they didn't let me bring the milkshake I had just brought through that security thing, which makes no sense, because what problem is a milkshake going to make? It's a good question. Mom went to California 3 months ago because she was offered a great job making costumes for a movie. She had to get there in a hurry. She brought what she knew she'd need right away: sketch pads, her laptop, her lucky eraser. Months before that, when Mom and Dad got separated and then divorced, she wasn't in such a hurry. And she still hasn't moved all her sewing stuff out of our house. So now we're packing it up to send to her because it looks like she's going to be in California for a while. Annie and I have been working for almost an hour, and the room doesn't look any more like a library/TV/music/relax, and also we'll be allowed to eat in their room than it did before we started. Well, one box is filled up with ribbons and material and thread and stuff. That one's ready to be taped and labeled. Gnomes, we should take a break. Without waiting to see if I agree, Annie pats a no-head lady on the shoulder and heads toward my room. No one but Annie calls me Gnomes. To be honest, I always thought she was calling me Gnomes, a pretty good nickname for Naomi, which is a really hard name to nick. But one time she handed me a note, and she'd written Gnomes because she thinks those ugly little elf things some of our neighbors have on their small front lawns are actually cute. Whenever she says it, I hear it as Gnomes, because Gnomes is better. Wanna read? Reading is different from regular reading. It started when Annie's grandparents sent her family a huge box of books. Annie and her brothers were excited. There were so many books, but they were all in German, which no one in her family speaks. Annie never figured that one out, but it was the beginning of our reading tradition. Annie takes a book with lots of pictures and tells the story of the pictures. She does it with our English language books, too. It's why I kept so many of my old picture books. She moves my old stuffed animal, Lamekins, and slides a book out of my bookcase. This, she says, is the story of a mouse in a dress and red shoes beneath a banana tree. I know that's not what the story is, but she's right. That's what the cover shows. I smile. A baby mouse sleeps in a crib beneath a duck, and sleeps some more. Then lots of things happen that aren't interesting. She starts laughing because this is one of our favorite books from when we were little, and everything in it was incredibly interesting to us then. And the thing about Annie is that she never laughs a little. I know I'll be waiting a while for her to continue, and even though I try to keep a straight face, her laughing makes me laugh too. She tries to get it together. The girl mouse writes a word over and over, and then dances with 3 butterflies. That sets me off because the butterflies are just in the art and have nothing to do with the story. But then she drops the book, says, "I'm hungry," and is off. Annie has the refrigerator door pulled open and is staring inside like she lives here. I love that. She should live here. She'd be my perfect sister. And she'd definitely rather have me for a sibling than Leo and Chase because, brothers are gross. Dad looks miserable, with envelopes and letters spread all over the table. Then he piles the papers up and shoves them into a big folder. "Hungry?" he asks, because of the refrigerator hint, and because we're in the kitchen, and because Annie is always hungry. Wait, Naomi, did we have lunch? Were we supposed to give Annie lunch? We don't go hungry, my dad and me, but I'm pretty sure there are some days when we have 5 meals, and some when we have 2 or even 1, and also a lot of snacks. Dad and I are champions of snacking. "I'm fine," Annie says straight into the refrigerator. "Ate before I came over." "I had an apple," I say. I don't mention that I cut it and arrange the pieces around a big puddle of chocolate syrup because Dad thinks apples and chocolate don't go together, which is all kinds of crazy. You know what you should do? Dad asks. He doesn't care that we don't answer. You should go outside. Annie is still standing in front of the open refrigerator, looking in, not moving. It finally dried out from all the rain. You can take a break from packing up Mom's stuff. Or are you done? Is it ready to go? I shake my head no and gently close the refrigerator, pulling Annie out of the spell she seems to have fallen under. I grab a bag of popcorn from the pantry and say, "Come on." My backyard is tiny, but I love, love, love it. Our house is attached to another on one side. It's called a row house, but it's also on a corner, so it gets lots of sun. It has an old swing set that Annie and I have played on forever, and everything about it fits us exactly right. In the back corner where the sun shines for most of the day in the summer, I have my own garden. Last summer I grew strawberries and tomatoes. I loved picking them when every last bit of green faded away and they were the perfect shade of ready-to-eat red. When they're ripe, you almost don't have to pull. They practically drop into your hand. It makes me so happy to watch tiny little plants with a few leaves grow into food. And I love the way the big leaves on a tomato plant smell like tomato, even before there's the tiniest little tomato growing there. Annie grabs a soccer ball. It's hers, but she keeps it at my house, and kicks it in circles around the tree. Yes, our tiny, perfect backyard has a tree. Only one, but in spring, in just a few weeks, it will bloom with pink blossoms. And 2 years ago, there were actual apricots that were beautiful. They tasted awful, but they were great to look at. Next weekend, on Saturday, you want to come over? Annie has what I call soccer feet. She usually can't keep them still, but now she stops the ball and lies on her stomach on the swing next to mine. Like a little flying superhero, she pushes up. It's Chase's birthday party, so we're skipping soccer, and Mom said you could come. I'm smiling and nodding yes because it's what I want to do, but I'm also remembering that Dad said next Saturday I have to meet a lady, not the no-head kind, someone he has been seeing a lot. She has 2 kids, daughters, and for some reason it's really important that we have a meal together. I wish, I say. I have to go with my dad to have lunch with Valentine, I think her name is, his new lady friend. Lady with a head probably, right? Probably, I smile. Annie's the best friend. And without even saying a word, because that's how it is with best friends, Annie kicks the soccer ball to its spot by the back door, and we both go inside to Mom's sewing room. Because I want to be there, and Annie somehow gets that. I really want to be with my mom, but being with her stuff is better than not being with her at all.